In this module, we will understand the concepts of evaluation questions, approaches, and frameworks. But before that, let us begin by understanding what is meant by the term evaluation. Evaluation is a process of assessing or judging something based on specific criteria or standards. It involves gathering information, analyzing data, and making judgments or conclusions about the quality, effectiveness, efficiency, or value of a particular object, system, process, or program. Let's say, for example, there's a program being conducted for developing a community event to allow participants to contribute. For this program, the evaluator may evaluate the following questions to assess their strategies. Question 1. Who came to the community event? For this question, the evaluator will have to use the observation method to assess the people who came to participate in the community event. Question 2. What new initiatives have emerged? To answer this question, after a period of 6 months, the evaluator would need to get in touch with the key people to conduct phone interviews. Through these interviews, the evaluator would need to find out what new initiatives have started to emerge so that the people can contribute to their community. Evaluations can be conducted using different methods, such as qualitative and quantitative data collection, surveys, interviews, observations, and analysis of existing data, depending on the nature of the subject being evaluated and the purpose of the evaluation. The results of the evaluation are used to inform the stakeholders, such as policymakers, managers, and practitioners, about the findings and recommendations for making informed decisions, as well as improving the quality and effectiveness of the object or process being evaluated. Now, let's try to understand what an evaluation framework entails. An evaluation framework provides the structure for the entire evaluation exercise. It includes an overall program theory or logic model, principles that guide planning, management, and conducting evaluations. Examples of conceptual frameworks in evaluation can be understood through examples like the causal framework, the contribution framework, and the gender analysis framework. In a causal framework, we are able to identify the cause and effect relationships between program activities and outcomes. Causal studies focus on an analysis of a situation or a specific problem to explain the patterns of relationships between variables. For example, let us suppose that a company implements a new individual marketing strategy for a small group of customers. Through this strategy, they are able to see a measurable increase in the monthly subscription of the customers. After receiving identical results from several groups by using this marketing strategy, they concluded that the one-to-one marketing strategy has the causal relationship they had intended. It's time to discuss the types of approaches used in evaluation for a program. Quantitative evaluation. This approach involves the collection and analysis of numerical data to assess the performance and impact of a program or intervention. It often includes statistical methods such as surveys, questionnaires, experiments, and data analysis using statistical software to measure outcomes, impacts, and trends. Qualitative evaluation. This approach involves the collection and analysis of non-numerical data, such as interviews, focus groups, observations, and case studies to gain an in-depth understanding of the experiences, perceptions, and behaviors of program participants and stakeholders. Then we have the mixed methods evaluation. This approach combines both quantitative and qualitative methods to provide a comprehensive understanding of a program or intervention. Next up is process evaluation. This approach focuses on the inputs, activities, and outputs of a program or intervention to assess the implementation fidelity, reach, and quality of services delivered. It often involves monitoring and documentation of program activities, stakeholders' feedback, and analysis of program records and documents. Cost-effectiveness evaluation. This approach assesses the cost-effectiveness and cost-benefit of a program or intervention by comparing the costs incurred with the outcomes achieved. Developmental evaluation. This approach is often used in complex and dynamic settings to support ongoing learning, adaptation, and innovation. Utilized focused evaluation. This approach focuses on ensuring that evaluation findings are relevant, credible and useful for decision makers and stakeholders. It involves active engagement of stakeholders in the evaluation process, utilization of evaluation findings for decision making, and emphasis on evaluation use and uptake. Finally, we have the participatory evaluation. This approach involves active participation of program participants, stakeholders, and communities in the evaluation process. There are different designs that can be used to evaluate programs. Given that each program is unique, it is important to choose an evaluation design that aligns with the program goals, research questions, purpose of the evaluation, and available resources. Therefore, to evaluate the effect that a program has on participants' behavior and knowledge, we can broadly classify the evaluation designs into two types: experimental and non-experimental designs. Experimental design. This design involves randomly assigning participants or groups to different conditions, such as an intervention group and a control group, to measure the outcomes and determine the effectiveness of the intervention. Randomized controlled trials are an example of experimental designs. Non-experimental designs. These are evaluation designs that do not involve random assignment of participants or groups to different conditions. Unlike experimental designs, non-experimental designs do not establish causality as rigorously, as they do not have the control of confounding variables that random assignment provides. Some common non-experimental designs include observational study, cross-sectional study, and quasi-experimental study. There are different methods used in evaluation to collect the data for the program. First is surveys. Surveys involve collecting data from participants or stakeholders through structured questionnaires or interviews. Next is interviews. Interviews involve conducting structured or semi-structured conversations with participants or stakeholders to gather qualitative data about their experiences, perspectives, and feedback on the program or intervention being evaluated. Third is observation. Observations involve systematically observing and recording program activities, processes, or outcomes in real time. Observations can provide objective data on program implementation, fidelity, and quality, and can be used to assess program outcomes such as participant behaviors, interactions, or performance. Next is performance measures or metrics. These involve quantitatively assessing program outcomes, impacts, or processes using standardized indicators or measures. Performance measures can provide data on program effectiveness, efficiency, and accountability, and can also be used to track progress over time. Next, we have cost-effectiveness analysis. It involves comparing the costs of a program or intervention with its outcomes or impacts. It can help assess the efficiency and value for money of a program and can inform resource allocation decisions. Then we have stakeholder feedback. It can provide valuable insights into the relevance, acceptability, and sustainability of a program and can help inform its improvements. Having gone through the basics of evaluation, we are now equipped with the right background to move to discussing the evaluation process, which is divided into 4 phases, which include planning. The relevant questions during evaluation planning and implementation involve determining the feasibility of the evaluation, identifying stakeholders, and specifying short and long-term goals. For example, does the program have the clarity of objectives or transparency in its methods required for evaluation? What criteria were used to determine the need for the program? Second is implementation. Evaluation during program implementation could be used to inform mid-course corrections to program implementation or to shed light on implementation processes. Third is completion. Evaluation may look at its short-term results, long-term effects, or sum up its total performance, including its sustainability and efficiency. Fourth is dissemination and reporting. One must create a dissemination plan during the evaluation's planning phase in order to ensure that the results are disseminated and reported to all appropriate audiences in a thorough and methodical manner. This strategy should specify who will present the results, for what audiences, and who will be listed as a co-author on papers and presentations. There are three stages during the MEL process that evaluation can take place at. These are before implementation, during implementation, and after implementation. Let us discuss each of these in detail. Before implementation. At this stage, there are four types of evaluations, which include formative evaluation, which helps decide on the program strategies which can be used to improve or strengthen the program implementation. Then there is needs assessment, which analyzes and prioritizes needs to inform planning for an intervention. The third type is evaluability assessment, which assesses the extent to which an intervention can be evaluated in a reliable and credible fashion. Lastly, there is evidence synthesis, which combines evidence from previous research and evaluation to inform the design of a new intervention. During implementation. During implementation, there are two types of evaluation: process and developmental evaluation. Process evaluation examines the nature and quality of implementation of an intervention. It takes place prior to achievement of outcomes and can include fidelity evaluation, cycles of quality improvement, and documenting innovations. Developmental evaluation, also known as embedded evaluation, helps figure out how an intervention or program is improving. During implementation, monitoring helps collect and use data about an intervention on a regular basis for internal management and accountability reporting. After implementation, the types of evaluation that occur include outcome evaluation, which helps evaluate the effects of an intervention, including the intended and unintended, positive and negative, direct and indirect results. Another type is impact evaluation, which shows that there is a link between the intervention and the results. Next kind is value for money evaluation, which includes things like cost-benefit and cost-utility analysis, among others. Lastly, a sustained and emerging impact evaluation looks at the long-term effects of an intervention, sometimes after it's over, for knowledge creation. What is an evaluation question and how is it relevant to MEL? To be straightforward, these are the questions the evaluation must answer. A carefully developed set of evaluation questions should give structure to the evaluation, lead to appropriate and thoughtful planning, and serve as a basis for essential discussions about who is interested in the answers and how they will be used. A good evaluation question should address issues that are meaningful in relation to the nature of the program. They should consider the concerns of the stakeholders. They should also be answerable with research techniques that are available to the evaluator. Evaluation questions are not just guiding questions to the evaluation, but are also reflective of the values of the evaluator, of the donor, and of the program team. Values also influence what questions in the context of the evaluation are deemed to fit. They are also a function of the primary stakeholders in the context of an evaluation and what they think should be the aim of the evaluation. They are dependent on and in turn influence evaluation approaches, whether the approach is post-positivist, pragmatic, constructivist, or transformative. With this understanding of evaluation questions, let us proceed with how to develop them. The process involves 5 steps. Recognizing the importance of the evaluator's role. An evaluator should be cognizant of the positionality, give priority to the program and the stakeholders. Next is identifying the primary stakeholders and keeping them in the loop while also incorporating concerns of other stakeholders. Third is pursuing meaningful and useful questions, which must be precise and concise. Fourth is finding questions that need answers. It's like finding a research gap while starting out research. An evaluation should answer questions that are previously unanswered. Number 5 is understanding the obligations of the legal or funding agency. Questions should be framed to meet the needs of the donor or organizational requirements. We identified 3 primary reasons why evaluation questions are so important. First is the fact that they act as a guiding force for program strategy. The EQs set the stage for operationalizing an evaluation, and the results of the evaluation lead to better informed insights for guiding program strategy. Second is that they lead to program improvement. Well informed EQs ask where the program is struggling and how it can be made better in the future. While guiding program strategy is more macro level, improvement in the program is more micro level. Finally, EQs can lead to potential social change. By answering questions about existing inequities in society, whether they are common or specific to the program, EQs can lead to possible social change. By making the evaluation focus on power dynamics, they can use evidence gathered during the evaluation to argue for social change.